Hey friends, happy January. I'm recording this now to check in with you specifically and see how are you doing with your New Year's goals and resolutions. So I know some of you are very committed and yes, this is what I want this year. These are my goals. These are my intentions. This is my word for the year. This is my practice for the year. And I want to, as your coach, friend, astrologer, support you in being effective and really executing and succeeding in those goals. Some of you may hate the idea of resolutions and, ugh, resolutions fail, resolutions too much pressure. I haven't had success with that in the past. I don't want to make those intentions or commitments to myself or, that. And I want to talk to you as well, because really, if we reframe this entire conversation as there are things that I know that if I could move forward and have progress towards those things in my life, I would be happier, I would be healthier, I would feel more confident, I would feel proud, I would make more of an impact. That's all very positive, right? Usually the goals and visions we have are around how we can feel better for ourselves or show up in a better way in the world. All good. Okay, so where do we get stuck? That's what I want to talk to you about today. There's a difference between having a vision and an intention and really wanting, desiring something, thinking about it, planning about it, and making that step of moving into action, execution, implementation. And the difference between the vision and the executing is really about creating a habit. And a habit is nothing more than step by step, consistently showing up to do the work. Sounds easier than it is. Let's think a little bit more about habits. First, I want to give you two inspiring quotes, which I think are helpful here. There's one quote and teaching by Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, and he says, "A good person isn't someone who always does the right thing and does what's good. A good person is someone who is in the habit of doing the right thing and doing good." So I would love for us to think about not, I already do this consistently, all the time, dependably, and I have this habit, but rather being in the habit of feels much more fluid and dynamic and active rather than already having established a habit or not. That's a little bit more binary and stagnant. So let's think of ourselves as what are we in the habit of? And I think one thing you can do to kind of already see we are all already in the habit of many, many things. We just don't necessarily think of it that way. So, one thing you could do is you can create a list for yourself and think of all the things you sort of regularly, semi-consistently show up and do. You're in the habit of putting your keys down in the same place every time you come in the door. Okay. You're in the habit of getting to the gym several times a week or doing a certain kind of practice, meditation, journaling, whatever. I'm in the habit of being a kind person and, being thoughtful. So you can think of, I'm in the habit of things related to your hygiene, things related to your work. I'm in the habit of organizing my files, of, you know, recycling in the habit. And you can think of all the things you're in the habit of. And is this a positive habit that you really like? It supports you or it supports some value you have in the world. And you could put like a positive plus sign next to it or a check mark or a P, like this is positive. You could use colors if you like, highlight like your favorite color is for a positive habit. You can also notice what habits you have that are somewhat negative to you or not helpful to forward you towards your goal. I know that I can be in the habit of snacking on high carb, salty snacks when I'm watching TV, relaxing at the end of the night. It's a habit that I would not consider a positive habit because I'm trying to reduce my carb intake and watch my blood sugar and my insulin resistance and so on. So I know that eating empty carb calories, not so good for me. It's a negative habit that I'm trying to kind of change. And then there might be habits which are completely neutral. Like you do things, it doesn't negatively affect you or anybody else in the world. And it's like, it's just something I do. Like when I take a shower, I wash this side of my body before that side of my body. It's a habit. It's like a consistent thing I do that's somewhat automatic in my action. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to force myself. I just do it. That's a habit also, something that's like I don't have to think a lot about it. I just kind of do it. Um, and that's neutral. Okay, so that's a good starting place to just check in with yourself. Now, there's another quote I want to share, which comes from Aristotle. And Aristotle said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence is not like a one-time act, it's a habit. We can be in the habit of excellence, self-actualization, manifesting in our lives. We can be in the habit of success, progress through what we repeatedly do. So, when you think about your goals for the year and what it is you want to accomplish or move forward around, what are you in the habit of doing that would forward that progress? That's the real question I want to leave with you. What am I in the habit of doing? Or what, better yet, so there's already things that you're doing that are helping you make that change and progress, and that's great. Add it to your list, like really look at what's working in that habit. And then you might notice there are certain habits that would really help me to take on and to be in the habit of doing that would forward that goal for me. So a lot of my goals for 2025 are around my physical health. I just really want to get even healthier this year. I want to get stronger. I've been sort of like having ups and downs and just maintenance and this year I want to go beyond just maintaining or avoiding declining in my health. I really want to increase my health. That's like the most important goal I have for myself. So I am in the habit of things that I feel are positively supporting that in my diet, in my exercise, in my meditation practice, in my movement, in my sleep hygiene, how I manage my sleep. Like I have new habits that are very specific. So now that's the next part. How do we get specific? So I have recognized the habits I do have that I don't yet have that I want to be in the habit of that support me. How do I then do the next step? And again, it's all about slow, steady, consistent showing up with yourself, not beating yourself up, not I have to do this every single day or I'm a terrible person and I failed. And if I didn't do it one day, then I'm done and I've got to start from scratch. It's not, there's a gentleness or a compassion we could have with ourselves that's different again than having a concrete, solid habit of this is consistent every day already and being in the habit of, which has in it this feeling of like I'm still creating, I'm learning, I'm showing up again and again. It's becoming more rote and a little easier, a little more routine as I keep showing up with myself in this way. So I would encourage you to make very smart and specific goals. What is something you have your big vision goal? I want to improve my health this year. And then you might have specific goals of, I really need to be doing stronger cardio for longer duration. That's more specific. Now we can get more specific. Am I in the habit of doing cardio? What kind of cardio? When am I doing it? Where am I doing it? Oh, well, on a warmer day, I'm going to walk for at least an hour outdoors, between this time and this time, whatever. And when it's not a warm, sunny, dry day, I'm going to go to the gym and get on the stair climber for at least 20 minutes. And I'm going to have like a minimum of 90 minutes of strong cardio. Whatever it is, it's specific. It's measurable. It's okay, like I know where it exists in my schedule. I know where I'm doing it in the world, physically bringing myself to show up to do this. And I know how long there are metrics around it. That's a SMART goal. What else would I like to leave you with today? Um, I want to think about other habits. I'm just going to shoot some things out at you. Like if I want to be more self-aware, self-reflective, what are some habits I would do to help me support me to do that? If I want to be more generous, what are some habits I would take on to be in the habit of generosity, of doing acts of kindness, deeds for other people? When in the schedule in my life does that exist? Do I do it daily? Do I do it every other day? Do I just keep noticing when I show up and then tracking it and saying, wow, I had a goal around this and I look that I haven't done this the whole week. That's not I'm not in the habit of it if I haven't done it in the whole week. But if I can track it and take a look and get that feedback, I could say, oh, this is missing. So how do I put this in? Where do I put this in? How am I going to do this? Um, anyway, I just wanted to offer that to you. I hope that that's somewhat helpful. I will say that I've read two books recently, not really, well, James Clear's book I read a while ago, Atomic Habits, if you haven't read it yet, great book. He's got so many amazing resources. You can also subscribe to his newsletter, and he sends a newsletter once a week with all kinds of great, inspiring little teachings, quotes, suggested practices for creating habits, for stacking habits, for monitoring habits. Again, to just support you to become someone who's in the habit of doing the things you say you are committed to creating in your life. Love that book. And the other book I just recently read is this one. It's called The 12-Week Year. Um, Really interesting book because what he talks about is when we set goals for the whole year, and we realize we have 12 whole months ahead of us, we're like, oh, it's okay if I kind of haven't started yet, or if I'm not consistent yet, or if I'm not taking action yet, because I still have 10 months to go. I could still make up this time and get it done. I can, I'll keep delay and procrastinate. And I don't really, there's no urgency. And he talks about shortening that window and kind of in coaching what we call chunking down. Like sometimes you have a really big goal and it's so big and overwhelming, you don't know where to start, or it feels like it's too big. How could I ever actually accomplish all that? And what a coach can help you to do is chunk it down and say, okay, well, let's not look at the whole big thing that's overwhelming. Let's make it smaller. Like, what is one step of that would feel like progress, that you're moving forward towards the bigger goal? And now let's just look at that step. And that step, how do we set a shorter, maybe a shorter time zone? So if you have these 12-month goals. What's your 1 month goal? You know, what's your 3 month goal, your quarterly goal? And then what would be like the month to month goals that you knew you were making progress? And then given the month goal, how would that, chunk down to a week? Like, where is it in my schedule this week? And if it's a weekly goal and I have certain goals for like, where does it exist in my day? Right? So if I want to become in the habit of someone who keeps a gratitude journal, I want to try to show up daily. I'm not going to beat myself if I forget to journal one night, but I have that journal next to my bed and I get into bed and I see it. And seeing it visually is a great way to reinforce, like, oh, yeah, yeah, I'm supposed to. So leave post-its for yourself on your morning coffee machine or on your refrigerator or at your front door. I want to do this today. It's a visual reminder of, oh, you said this is important to you. This is something you want. This is something you want to create. This, even the reminder can help you kind of overcome the inertia and become more in the habit of. All right, that's all I'm going to say for now. I hope that's helpful. Please reach out to me with any comments, questions, how I can support you around creating meaningful, important habits that are aligned with your goals and, monitoring and tracking that. I'm here to do that work with you. All right, have a great month and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.